Now, awakening used to be really hard, almost impossible. And that term was reserved for people that they referred to as Buddhas, which means awakened one. But everybody's having an awakening these days, which is awesome. You might be having one. I might be having one. If you go on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, you got people talking about these experiences that they're having that they're calling awakening. Are they becoming Buddhas? Which doesn't mean that the experience you're having or they're having isn't powerful, transformative, and shifting their life in super positive ways. What's really going on when somebody's having an experience that we call awakening? Thanks for dropping by the Zone of Expandedness. I'm Chris, and I've been having some really powerful shifts and openings and experiences over the past many years. My life has expanded and changed and shifted in so many ways. Like, I have a new operating system almost that's controlling how I interact with the world. But I hesitate to use the term awakening because it doesn't feel that way. Because for awakening, I think about being asleep. And when I'm asleep, I'm in a totally different zone of consciousness than when I'm awake. My dream state is nothing really like my awakened state during the day. I'm not even sure I'm really me, this Chris person in my dreams. It feels sometimes like I'm somebody else entirely. But what I've experienced myself isn't that drastic like it is being awake, being asleep. So let's look at three things that this experience that we're calling awakening really is. So first of all, what we call awakening is pretty much a shift in perspective. We are born, we grow up, we go to school, we have parents, we live in a culture and a collective consciousness that really determines our perspective and how we look at the world. So when we get a new perspective, like, I don't think the government has my best interest in mind, we often go, oh, I'm awakened to the fact that the government doesn't have my best interest in mind. Or we can read esoteric texts that give us whole new perspectives that we haven't even thought about before. It's like going up the mountain to get a better view. You can be downtown on a street corner and look at things from there. And then you can walk out of town and go up the mountain and have a look down at the whole town or city from there. It's a very different perspective. And if we have multidimensional experiences, if we do plant medicine or even through meditation, through breath work, we can experience things that we just did not learn in school, that our parents did not teach us, that are whole new perspectives on how we look at the world and experience the world. You might be finding out already, just being able to see things through a different lens than you did before is very opening. And it's a wonderful part of what's going on in this experience that we call awakening, perspective shift. And another thing that's going on when we're experiencing awakening is we're really remembering. Because you can look at it from an expanded perspective, where you're not just this human person that you take yourself to be. You are having a very human experience right now. I am Chris, 100%. You can't deny it. But the understanding that I am much more than Chris. And before I was Chris, I existed. And after I'm done being Chris, I'm still going to exist. Is this remembering of a more expanded version of ourselves that lives multiple lifetimes. We're not just here in this human realm all the time. We live in the realms in between physicality. We go into the non-physical realms when we're done here. And before we came in here, that's where we were. So an expanded understanding or a remembering that that is who we are is part of this awakening experience. I like to think of it, what we're doing here, it's a little bit like scuba diving, where we put on this scuba suit, this physical human avatar, and we come down here into this weird reality. And once we're here, we totally forget where we were before. That's part of the magic. That's part of the design of this place. Complete forgetting, so that you can have an experience of remembering what it was like. So you and me and everybody else you know is scuba diving underneath the water, swimming around, and that's all we know. We just know the reality of being underwater. And we're trying to remember or describe to each other what it's like on the surface. When we're done scuba diving, we're going back to the surface. We're going to be breathing air again up on the top, walking on solid land. We're not going to be swimming below the surface. When we're done here in physicality, we're going to go back to the non-physical realm. So a lot of what we're doing here in this awakening game, or trying to expand our consciousness, is we're trying to actually just remember what it was like, because you're already awake, like you're already a non-physical being that is having this physical experience. When you get back to the surface, when you're done scuba diving, you go back up to the surface, they put you back in the boat and take you to shore, your car's in the parking lot. You came here willfully, deliberately, and you also exist in these other realms. So that's what we're doing. We're remembering the expanded nature of who we are. It's not just this human physicality, but to me, awakening is this term that we give it from purely this human perspective. If you look at yourself as, yeah, I'm human, and I'm also non-human, and I live between realms, and I'm a multidimensional being, and sometimes I'm asleep and I forget what those other realms are like, and I hang out in physicality, and other times I go back up to the surface, I'm not scuba diving anymore, and I remember everything. So you're going to remember someday. And now we're playing this little game of trying to describe what it's like up on dry land when we're down underneath the water scuba diving. And last of all, I think what's really going on when we talk about awakening is we're talking about expansion. Because as you might know already, as you might hear from friends and sages and yogis and all kinds of people that are alive right now that are describing this experience of awakening, is it's not like a light switch. It's not an on and off. We can have some radical shifts that feel huge and just like, holy shit, I had no idea. And it can feel a little bit like awakening. But mostly it's expansion, because it just keeps going and going. And if you're on the first stages of your journey, and you might find this as you go along, how you feel now isn't how you're going to feel 5 years from now. It's not going to how you're going to feel 10 years from now. It just keeps expanding. It just keeps getting deeper. It just keeps getting richer. Again, we're having this from the human point of view. So not from our expanded nature, where we think of ourselves as a multidimensional being who lives multiple lifetimes in various realms, but we think of awakening from purely this human point of view, and then, I'm having experiences, or I'm expanding into other fields of beingness. And hell yeah, it feels great. So I hope you're experiencing some of that too. Let me know what's going on for you guys in the awakening world. It's a very unique journey for everybody. That's what's amazing about it, because it all happens through the lens of the individual. There is no script. There is no one way that it is. This remembering, this expansion, this new perspectives that we're getting, this experience we call awakening, when it is so much more than just that. Lastly, one extra lastly point is to consider in this journey of awakening is, why are we doing it? Why did we come down into human form? Why did we deliberately forget that we were this multidimensional being? Why did we sign up to have this very limited experience, this very limited perspective in human form? What's that all about? Why would you even decide to do that? You're in the other realms. You're hanging out in higher dimensional frequencies where you can experience more, know more, understand more, have a much higher perspective. And you're like, no, man, I'm going down there where I'm just going to forget everything. So why do we do it? And I think that's based on individual goals that each of us have when we come in here. So why did you do it? That's a good question. But it's a bit of a Rubik's Cube. It's a puzzle. It's like Sudoku on this like crazy scale where it's a puzzle and it's something we want to figure out. It's a challenge. It's like, okay, I'm going to forget and I'm going to go to high school and get all traumatized and my parents are going to be a little messed up and whatever the life journey path is. And then through that, you got to find your way back. You got to see if you can find that expanded, multidimensional essence of yourself through all of that. So it's really about your soul journey and what you're trying to achieve on that level, which is why all lifetimes are different and why we all come here for very different reasons. And we're also doing it for humanity. That when we take shape in this human avatar, and when we expand the consciousness and the perspective and the remembering through our avatar, we're doing that to the benefit of the entire collective. Then it makes the possibility available for everyone. See, when I was a kid, nobody did a flip on a bicycle. We all drove these piece of shit little BMXs or bikes we kind of put together ourselves, or banana seats with, the big curved handlebars and that sort of thing. But if I showed up out in front of my friend's house some Saturday morning and I said, hey guys, I'm going to do a flip on my bicycle, they would just think that was impossible. It was outside the realm of possibility. You just can't do a flip on your bicycle. But go down to a BMX park and there's 8-year-olds doing flips on bicycles because it's now possible. We've made it possible. And then in the human collective consciousness, it's now a possibility and people are able to do it. So by you in your journey of expanding your consciousness, remembering who you truly are, expanding the perspective that you can see through this lens, you then, like doing a flip on your bicycle, now you are expanding the possibilities for all humans to come. And the next person that takes shape has a birth into a human avatar, they have now more possibilities. And then it also allows for higher vibrational beings to come in, because there's beings out in the multidimensional planes that have too high of a frequency that they can't come into such a limited form as this human avatar offers in this collective consciousness. But as that expands, as you're doing it through your awakening journey and your practices and all that you're learning and growing and experiencing, then that allows for higher dimensional vibrational beings to actually be able to access this form. And when we do that, as more higher dimensional beings are able to come in here, this is how we heal humanity. Because so much about what's going on around here has to do with just low-level consciousness. The revolution is consciousness, my friends. So that, to me, is awakening in a nutshell. What we call awakening and what we're really doing. Remembering, expanding our perspective, and expanding the possibilities of humanity and what a human can do in one of these avatar forms. Thanks for hanging out. And if you want to go deeper on your awakening journey, you can hit me up for my conscious coaching services. I work with people going through all facets of awakening, expansion, remembering, and how we can blend both this esoteric experience with the practical that we are all tasked with down here. So all my information is down below, how you can get in touch with me. I'm happy to take on new clients and help people with their journeys. That just ends up helping humanity in general. Subscribe to the channel because there's more stuff there, more stuff to come. I'm so glad you came by today and we could spend some time together in the zone of expandedness. Good luck with your own journey. As I said, it's all unique. And like, you can't really do something wrong when you're trying and you put the intention there to expand and to awaken. So drop a comment down below. Let me know what's going on for you. I'm always fascinated by the different flavors of awakening, expandedness that are happening for everybody. So let me know what's going on for you. And until then, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you again sometime. Peace, my friends. Lots of love.